This is a quick tutorial video to show you how to set up different notebooks for different groups of students. The first thing you want to do is have the cover selected and then click on File and make a copy. Now, do not make a copy of the entire presentation. It's 60 slides, and you do not want to assign 60 slides to the students. It'll load slowly. It'll be frustrating. So make a copy of selected slides having just the cover selected. When you make the copy, you want to title it something so you will know which notebook is which. So for this example, I'm going to be creating a notebook about plot for La Luna, and it's going to be for students who are approaching standard. So I'm going to put an A at the front. If it's for students who are on standard, those slides are labeled with S. And if it's for students who are leveling up, make a copy. If it's for students who are leveling up, those slides are titled Level Up in the layouts so that you can find everything easily. But the main thing is for A for approaching standard and S for on standard. Now, when you make a copy, you're just going to have the cover only. You'll need to add in the slides that you want for that particular group of students. To do that, you click on the plus sign to add a slide and then change the layout for it to be what you want. Now, I did also include let's see, not the preview, the teacher's guide. In the teacher's guide, this is super important. Don't ignore the teacher's guide. There is a quick little checklist down here at the bottom of this page for what you might want to include in the notebook. And I'm going to zoom in on that to make sure I get everything. So I have the cover, the check-in is there. Today we will. So what that is the student's instructions for what they're going to do. So let's go back to my plot notebook. There's my check-in. I want to add in what are they going to do today? Now there's two options for that. Option one is to do, you got to find it. Notice how they're named so you can find them easily because there are a lot of slides because you have lessons for basically 4 different lessons all in one here. So you need to separate out what it is you want. And we're doing plot, so I might want to use this, or your other option is layout. There is a different option that has all of them here. So those are your two options for the instructions. Before you assign it, you're going to want to write something here for your directions of what you want students to do. There's also in your product, there's also a little circle that you can drag to circle plot, and you can then duplicate the circle if you're doing plot and conflict or plot and character, up to you. But those two things are there. Let's go back to my checklist. Anticipation guide. So this is going to be our first time watching the film. So I do want to include the anticipation guide for before we watch the film. So anticipation guide before film. That's the one I want. There's also an anticipation guide for after the film, and you'll want to use that after the students watch the film. But I generally include that one with a theme notebook. And I might not do this one right now if we're focusing on plot. But your product will have X's in the center that the students can drag either to agree or disagree for each statement. And that's all they will do for this. Then they will watch the movie. So I'm going to add the slide, change the layout, and I'm going to find not the blank video because that's for a teaching video. You were going to want to add an instructional video if the students are going to be working on this by themselves. And I do have slides for adding that, but right now I want watch the film. Now, if you can find the film on YouTube, you can just add the film right here onto the screen Otherwise, you might have to show the film in class from your own device. If you have Disney Plus, you can get it there, or you can buy it on Prime, on iTunes, whatever service you use. Now, the next slide I'm going to add, let's check my teacher's checklist here. Film, instructional video. So I'm doing an approaching standard notebook here, and the students are probably going to need to watch an instructional video explaining the different elements of a plot. So I'm going to add this blank video in here. Now, you'll go out onto YouTube and find a video about plot elements that's appropriate for your students and add it into the screen, and then give them some directions here if you want to do that. Because this is a blank slide, there's no directions here, because you might be using this for character, you might be using it for theme. So customize it for what your students are going to be doing. There's my instructional video. I'm going to put some instructions on there. Now, the next thing I want to add is, let's check my list, the skill pages for plot. So, layout. And I'm looking for A, approaching standards. So, plot A1, plot A2, plot A3. I'm going to add those slides. Add a slide, layout, plot A2, add a slide, the layout. You may or may not want to use plot A3. You might want to use this one if you're going to focus on conflict, because this would be an approaching standard activity for conflict as well. So, but add it in or don't add it in. I'm doing it down just for this example. Now, what do I want to put next? Let's check my list. Writing prompt or Flipgrid page. Okay, so back to here. And I want to add in. Now, you can do this or you can not do it. It's up to you. But let's say I want students to, after they do the plot map, I want them to have a discussion about a guiding question that I'm going to ask them. And I'll show you where to get those in just a second. There are two, Flipgrid 1, Flipgrid 2. The second one is important because that's where you really hit on that speaking and listening standard, where they're paraphrasing what other people have said. This first one is just directions for them. You'll add your link to the Flipgrid topic here, add the question here. Where do you get the question from? That'll be in your slides, the one that says discussion prompts. You have options here to have, and these are editable, so you can just copy and paste them. But you have options here to instead use a written prompt. So if you'd prefer a written prompt, use the written prompt slide. If you want to use Flipgrid, use the Flipgrid slide. You can also discuss these questions. Whatever question you choose, let's choose the question. Now this is an approaching standard slide, so I want something pretty easy. Possibly something that's going to get them ready to be on standard activity. So add the question in. I get rid of that number 1. Add the question in. You can make it bigger if you want to. I'm going to make it bigger so they can see it good. And then you'll add your Flipgrid link there. Now, if you are having a discussion about the question in class, you can still use this activity to hit on that speaking and listening standard that I mentioned. It says the exact standard in the teaching guide, but get rid of this slide, have the discussion in class, and then have students fill this in. So this is just summarizing what did they say in response to the question, and then summarizing 2 other students' responses with their names. You can also add the question in Google Classroom if you're not doing it during live class. You can add the question as a question prompt in Google Classroom. Students can respond there and then fill out this activity based on what they saw in Google Classroom. Because some kids I know don't like Flipgrid. That was my experience. So, up to you how you want to do it, depends on your students. Now, let's check my list and see what else. Exit tweets. I like to do a little exit ticket with my class. So I'm going to go back to my notebook and I'm going to add that in. And then this will be the last thing. I'll be done and I can make my next one for the students who are tweets will be download. These are somewhat alphabetized, but not exactly. Let's see here. Exit tweets. There we go. So then you can add in your exit tweet slide. Students will write one tweet for each thing. So either a one-word summary, a takeaway, or a favorite part. They choose and write that hashtag statement there. There is also a slide if you would rather do this whole class all together, which I like to do. I like students to see what other students are thinking. In the teacher's guide, if you go to the page that talks about the exit tweets, there it is. I have included a Jamboard version of this. And if you just click on that, it'll open up the Jamboard. Don't use my Jamboard, but click on the 3 dots for more actions and click on make a copy. And then you'll have a copy for your own class to be using. And it's pretty simple. It's just, it gives them what are the hashtag questions for them to respond to, and then for the whole class. So everybody puts a Post-it note here in one of the hashtag boxes to add their exit tweet. I prefer to do it this way because I want everybody to see what everybody else is thinking. I think that's a valuable activity to have. If this is not enough boxes for you, did you see what I just did? I clicked on this drop down thing and then 3 dots, duplicate. So make a second one. The image here is in the background. So when students are using this Jamboard, they're not going to be able to mess up the formatting. They'll just click on a Post-it note. They can choose a different color if they want to, and they will add their exit summary. I'm going to say hashtag coming, of age. Whoops, I wasn't even typing. Hashtag coming of age. And then I can move my little sticky note to my box. And that's it. If you have any questions or trouble with anything, my email is in the last part of the teacher's guide, and you can send me an email. And also, I don't know if I included this in here or not, but I do also set up Zoom calls with teachers to give tech support on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And for free, I will do this with you. If you need some help with any of my digital products, just send me an email and we'll set up a meeting time that works for you and I can help you out. Thanks for watching.